Seth Rollins may be out with an injury, but the real pain might be hitting WWE's locker room instead of his shoulder, because right now, there's something happening behind the curtain that even the Vision didn't see coming, a collapse of trust, confusion in creative, and growing fear that WWE's storytelling might be turning against its own people. In this video, we're going deep into what's really happening with Seth Rollins' rumored injury after Crown Jewel, how it's shaken WWE's creative confidence, and why insiders are starting to question whether the company is crossing a dangerous line between working the fans and working their own talent. This isn't just another injury update. This is about trust, manipulation, and a creative culture under pressure. Welcome back to Ring 2 Reality, where we pull back the curtain on wrestling's biggest moments and expose the truth that never makes TV. Now let's get into the story shaking the entire WWE locker room. The night everything changed. Crown Jewel 2025. The night Seth Rollins walked into war against Cody Rhodes, and didn't walk out the same. It was supposed to be another classic, the American Nightmare vs. The Visionary, two men who've carried modern WWE on their backs. But during that brutal match, fans noticed something was off. Rollins winced after a springboard knee, grabbing at his arm. It wasn't overplayed, but it was real enough to send Twitter into meltdown. By the time the show ended, Rollins was clutching his shoulder, whispering something to the referee. Cameras cut quickly. Commentary went silent. Then, on the following Raw, Rollins appeared again, arm in a sling, standing under the spotlight like a wounded king. But instead of sympathy, he got chaos. Paul Heyman came out. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker stormed the ring. They attacked Rollins, breaking apart the Vision, the faction that was supposedly WWE's long-term pet project heading into WrestleMania, and suddenly, no one, not the fans, not the media, not even WWE's own creative team, could tell if Seth Rollins was actually injured, or if the company had just blurred the line again. The Backstage FUSON. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, even WWE insiders didn't know what was real. Some in creative were told Rollins' injury happened at Crown Jewel. Others were told it was part of the story. And when the same people who write WWE TV don't know what's true anymore, that's a problem, Meltzer reported. They were told it was from an injury in the match with Cody Rhodes. But after being told his other injury was legit, many are not fully believing anything right now. This isn't the first time WWE has done this. Earlier this year, Rollins suffered an injury during Saturday night's main event. The company told almost everyone it was legitimate, only for it to later turn out to be a storyline twist to elevate the Vision's heat. That's when the trust began to crack. Now, that crack has become a fracture. Sources backstage describe it as creative chaos, where writers, producers, and even some wrestlers are being worked without warning. They find out about twists and injuries after the show airs. And while it might make for great television, it's poisoning communication behind the scenes. One creative team member reportedly said, in the attempt to work everyone, they've stopped telling anyone. The lack of trust right now is pretty high. Why this matters more than you teach NKU might be thinking, it's wrestling, isn't working people part of the game? True. But there's a difference between protecting kayfabe and confusing your own locker room. When your writers don't know what's real, they can't plan coherent stories. When your wrestlers aren't told the truth, they lose confidence in management. And when fans catch on that the chaos behind the scenes is bleeding into the product, it damages the company's long-term storytelling credibility. That's the real danger here. Because trust isn't just a backstage term, it's a business foundation. Look at what happened with CM Punk years ago. Miscommunication about his health, creative direction, and management trust turned one of WWE's most valuable stars into one of its most vocal critics. Now, Seth Rollins, one of the most loyal and respected locker room leaders, might be at the center of a similar storm, only this time, it's about honesty rather than booking. The Vision's collapse and what it symbolizes. The Vision was supposed to be WWE's next big faction arc, a cerebral alliance that mixed charisma, power, and chaos. Rollins was the mastermind, Paul Heyman the strategist, Bronson Reed the enforcer, and Braun Breaker the wild card. Together, they were meant to dominate Raw heading into WrestleMania, with whispers that Austin Theory would join them to make it a modern-day Evolution-style stable. then came the injury. Then came the betrayal, with Rollins out and Heyman pulling strings behind the scenes. WWE may have just scrapped months of planning overnight. And according to one insider quoted by Meltzer, the Vision were booked for plans together through WrestleMania, including with Austin Theory joining the group before things changed today. That's how fast things change in WWE, if the company decides to rewrite history midstream. But here's what makes this particular rewrite controversial: it didn't just affect TV, it reportedly left entire departments blindsided. People found out the Vision was ending only when they saw the Raw script, just hours before showtime. That's not creative agility, that's chaos disguised as spontaneity. So, here's the real question I want you to answer in the comments below. Speech balloon: do you think WWE is doing this to protect kayfabe and surprise fans, or have they gone too far by working their own employees? Drop your thoughts right now, because your perspective might end up in our next breakdown episode here on Ring 2 Reality. And if you love deep dive stories like this one, hit that like button, because this is only getting crazier. How WWE's culture of secrecy is backfiring. The keep it secret mentality has been part of WWE forever. Vince McMahon believed in working everyone, including announcers, referees, even family members. Triple H has inherited a version of that mindset, but with a twist. In the modern era, leaks are constant, social media breaks stories before WWE can, and dirt sheets dissect every angle within minutes. So instead of protecting kayfabe from fans, WWE has started protecting kayfabe from their own team. The result? Mistrust, miscommunication, and morale issues. A producer reportedly told Meltzer that some talents are exhausted by the uncertainty, because they don't know when their creative plans are legitimate or when they're just being used as bait for a storyline reveal. For some, it's frustrating. For others, it's personal. Especially for someone like Rollins, who's built his reputation on loyalty and consistency. When even he becomes part of an internal work, it sends a message: no one is safe from the swerve. That might sound cool on paper, but emotionally, it's draining the very people who keep WWE's machine running. How this could impact WrestleMania season: here's where it gets even more interesting. If Rollins is legitimately injured, WWE will have to rebook major WrestleMania plans. The Vision was reportedly slated to play a central role in Raw's road to WrestleMania, possibly setting up a faction war against the Judgment Day or a returning Bloodline offshoot. But if this was just a storyline twist, then WWE might be testing how far they can push reality before their own system snaps. Imagine trying to plan 6 months of creative, only for the script to change because someone might be injured. That ripple effect doesn't just hit one storyline. It affects everyone, from Cody Rhodes' trajectory to how Paul Heyman's character aligns moving forward. One writer reportedly said, "We're in a constant state of guessing. You can't write 6 months ahead if you don't know what's real today." That's the core issue. Without stability, long-term storytelling becomes impossible. And WWE, for all its entertainment value, thrives on consistency of vision. Ironically, the Vision collapsing might be the perfect metaphor for what's happening backstage. Is this a new creative strategy or a sign of panic? There's another theory floating around among insiders. This isn't chaos, it's control. Some believe Triple H is intentionally keeping creative on their toes, to prevent leaks and maintain unpredictability. By feeding partial truths, he ensures that even insiders don't spoil surprises. In theory, that sounds genius. But in practice, it's creating burnout and confusion. You can protect secrecy without destroying communication. AEW, for example, keeps big moments like CM Punk's return under wraps, but their internal creative alignment remains tight. WWE, on the other hand, seems to be testing how much internal secrecy can coexist with scripted storytelling. If this strategy works, it'll make WWE feel more unpredictable than ever. If it fails, it could create resentment from top stars who feel manipulated rather than creatively included. The Seth Rollins factor: Seth Rollins has always been WWE's constant. Through injuries, gimmick changes, fan reactions, and creative shifts, he's been the reliable pillar who shows up, adapts, and delivers. But even the most loyal soldier can reach a breaking point. Those close to Rollins reportedly say he's playing ball with whatever storyline direction WWE gives him. but privately, there's concern that he's frustrated. He spent years rebuilding trust between management and talent, and now he's watching that trust slip away, one worked injury at a time that if this situation pushes him too far, WWE might be risking one of its most dependable leaders. And when locker room leaders lose faith, others follow. Rollins' absence, real or not, could expose deeper cracks in the company's culture than WWE wants anyone to see. Where this all leads. So where does this leave WWE now? If Rollins' injury is legitimate, we might see a reshuffling of Raw's entire creative direction heading into Royal Rumble season. If it's not, then this is one of the most elaborate works WWE has ever pulled off, one designed to blur every line possible. Either way, the damage backstage is real. People no longer know who to trust, not in storylines, not in planning, not even in injury reports, and when trust disappears, control follows. Triple H might believe that unpredictability keeps WWE fresh, and to an extent, he's right. But unpredictability without communication isn't creativity. It's chaos disguised as genius. So, to sum it up, Seth Rollins' injury at Crown Jewel might be real, or it might be another internal work. Creative insiders are losing faith after being misled multiple times. The Vision's collapse could reshape WrestleMania season, and WWE's new approach to secrecy may be crossing the line between suspense and sabotage. But here's the twist: this might not be the last trust test we see. Because rumor has it, another top Raw name might be next in line for a similar, reality-bending angle, and this one could shake the company even harder than Rollins' storyline. We'll break that down in our next video, so stay tuned. You've been watching Ring 2 Reality, the channel that turns rumors into revelations and storylines into truth. If you enjoyed this deep dive into WWE's backstage drama, smash that like button, drop your thoughts below, and make sure to subscribe, because the road to WrestleMania is only getting more chaotic from here. Until next time, keep your eyes open, and remember, in WWE, nothing is ever what it seems.